The Six Wives of Henry VIII. Catherine Parr. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We reach our final wife, where I have distilled the key points about the personality of Catherine Parr into notable examples to make a determination as to where she stands within the foundation classification of empath, normal, narcissistic person or narcissist. Catherine Parr, the sixth and final wife of King Henry VIII, occupies a unique place in Tudor history. Born around 1512 and dying in 1548, she is often remembered as the queen who survived, outliving her notoriously volatile husband by a year and 8 months. However, her life extends far beyond the rhyme from schoolyard history lessons. Parr was a scholar, author, stepmother, regent, and religious reformer whose actions reveal a complex personality shaped by the treacherous politics of the Tudor court. In this analysis, we're going to draw on verified historical behaviours and events and assess them as against the framework of the foundation classification. We're going to look at historical records, her own writings and contemporary accounts across key phases of her life: early years and first marriage, her tenure as queen, her religious and intellectual pursuits, her relationships with Henry's children, and her final marriage and death. Catherine Parr was born in Blackfriars, London, likely in July or August 1512, to Sir Thomas Parr and Maud Green. Her father was a prominent courtier, serving as Sheriff of Northamptonshire and Controller to Henry VIII, while her mother was a lady-in-waiting to Catherine of Aragon, Henry's first wife, possibly Parr's namesake and godmother. Orphaned young after her father's death in 1517, Parr was raised by her mother in a household that emphasized education, a rarity for women of the era. She became fluent in French, Latin, and Italian, and later Spanish, demonstrating an early intellectual curiosity that would define her. Her first marriage, at age 17, in 1529, was to Sir Edward Burgh, a man in his 20s whose family held significant estates. He was reportedly in poor health, and the marriage was childless. He died in 1533, leaving Parr a widow at 21. She quickly remarried in 1534 to John Neville, 3rd Baron Latimer, a man nearly twice her age. Parr entered the peerage, managing vast estates in Yorkshire and Worcestershire. This union was marked by financial strains from Latimer's legal battles and the turbulence of the Pilgrimage of Grace in 1536 to 1537, a Catholic uprising against Henry's religious reforms. Rebels besieged Snape Castle, holding Parr, her stepchildren, and Latimer hostage. Latimer capitulated to the rebels to protect his family, but was later accused of treason, forcing Parr to plead his case at court. Latimer's health deteriorated, and Parr nursed him until his death in 1543, inheriting wealth and guardianship of his daughter, Margaret Neville. These behaviours reveal a pragmatic, dutiful woman. Nursing Latimer through illness shows care and responsibility, aligning with potential empathic traits of self-sacrifice and support. Her management of estates and advocacy for Latimer during political crises demonstrates competence and loyalty. She demonstrates a balanced, adaptive approach, embodying self-preservation without exploitation. Nevertheless, the fact that she married twice for status and security, despite age gaps and a lack of passion, certainly hints at self-interest, a narcissistic trait where personal advancement trumps emotional fulfillment. In 1543, at age 31, Parr caught the eye of the ageing, obese Henry VIII, whose health was failing from leg ulcers and possible syphilis. Despite her affection for Thomas Seymour, brother of Jane Seymour, Henry's third wife, Parr accepted Henry's proposal, marrying him on July the 12th, 1543, at Hampton Court Palace. As queen, she tended to Henry's physical needs, dressing his sores and providing companionship, but she was no mere nursemaid. She engaged him in intellectual debates, wore fine clothes and perfumes to maintain allure and influence policy. A pivotal example of her behaviour occurred in 1546, when conservative courtiers like Bishop Stephen Gardiner and Lord Chancellor Thomas Wriothesley plotted against her for the Protestant sympathies. They convinced Henry to sign an arrest warrant for heresy. Warned in advance, Parr submitted humbly, explaining her religious discussions were to distract him from pain and learn from his wisdom. Henry, flattered, reconciled with her, and rebuked Wriothesley when he attempted the arrest. This incident showcases strategic humility, feigning subservience to survive, a manipulative aspect, possibly one demonstrated by virtue of narcissistic traits, perhaps, or is it driven from something even deeper? As regent during Henry's 1544 French campaign, Parr managed the realm effectively, signing proclamations, overseeing finances and supporting the war effort, including commissioning a religious anthem by Thomas Tallis. She also secretly met with Protestant reformer Anne Askew, risking her position to advance reform. Her nursing and companionship certainly suggest the presence of emotional empathy, the prioritization of another's well-being. Yet, accepting marriage despite loving another and using flattery for survival could hint at more narcissistic behaviours. Potential, normal pragmatism of self-protection without harm. The strategic submission borders on narcissistic manipulation, as it involves the application of charm to control an outcome. But it does lack the fuel-seeking exploitation of the narcissist, and instead is more likely reflective of adaptive intelligence in a dangerous environment. Parr was a trailblazer as the first English woman to publish original works under her name. Her first book, Psalms or Prayers, in 1544, was anonymous wartime propaganda, adapting Latin prayers for English use to pray for victory in France. Prayers or Meditations, in 1545, reworked Thomas à Kempis' Imitatio Christi, emphasizing personal devotion, becoming a bestseller. Post-Henry, The Lamentation of a Sinner, 1547, detailed her spiritual journey from Catholicism to Protestantism, promoting justification by faith and scripture access, influenced by the Pilgrimage of Grace's horrors. These writings reveal humility and introspection. Lamentation confesses past ignorance and seeks divine mercy, showing vulnerability. She annotated books, discussed theology with her ladies, and supported reformers like Miles Coverdale, who dedicated translations to her. Promoting religious reform for others' spiritual benefit aligns with empathic advocacy, using influence selflessly. The personal focus in Lamentation might suggest narcissistic self-absorption, but it's framed as shared testimony, not grandiosity. There doesn't appear to be a manipulation for fuel. Parr's most lauded role was as stepmother. She reconciled Henry with his daughters, Mary and Elizabeth, previously declared illegitimate, leading to the 1543 Third Succession Act restoring their rights. She supervised their education, correcting Latin exercises, arranging musical events, and fostering bonds. Elizabeth gifted her a translated poem, and Edward exchanged affectionate letters. After Henry's death, Parr took guardianship of Elizabeth and hosted Lady Jane Grey, providing stability. This nurturing exemplifies empathic behaviour, prioritising others' emotional and educational needs, sacrificing time for harmony. It's not self-serving. Her actions improve the children's lives without personal gain, which contrasts with narcissistic exploitation. A normal might be seen to do this dutifully, but Parr's warmth, evident in surviving letters, suggests potentially a deeper empathy. Widowed in January 1547, Parr secretly married Thomas Seymour in May, scandalising the court due to timing and Seymour's ambitions. Their household included Elizabeth, but Seymour's behaviour turned inappropriate, entering her chamber in nightclothes, tickling her, and once cutting her gown while Parr held her. Initially, Parr participated in some horseplay, like tickling, possibly viewing it as innocent. However, discovering them embracing in May 1548, pregnant Parr sent Elizabeth away heartbroken. She died, of puerperal fever, on September 5, 1548, after birthing daughter Mary, her dying words lamenting Seymour's shrewd taunts and poor treatment. This phase is controversial. Participating in this behaviour might indicate poor judgment or complicity, hinting at some kind of narcissistic disregard for boundaries to maintain her marriage. Sending Elizabeth away suggests projected empathy, prioritising the girl's safety. The hasty marriage reflects once again self-interest, but her love letters do reveal genuine emotion, not manipulation. Empathic traits dominate with Catherine Parr with regard to her caregiving, nursing husband, stepmothering, advocacy, religious reform, reconciliation, and self-sacrifice, court survival for others' benefits. She shows some pragmatism, which is seen more likely with normals, for instance, the marriages for security and strategic humility, but it also has to be borne in mind that those were very much of their time. There's some self-focused writing and controversial participation with Seymour, but these are minor and contextually explained by era norms, as opposed to entitlement or exploitation. Narcissism is absent. There's no evidence of an absence of emotional empathy or repeated manipulations for the purposes of gaining fuel or residual benefits, or a subconscious view of others as appliances. Indeed, Parr's actions consistently show care and duty. Ultimately, she exhibits considerable emotional empathy which drove her to mature, educate and reform, often at personal risk. Her balanced self-preservation is evident. She is empathic, yet resilient. She's not flawless, but her life exemplified compassion in a brutal world, and ultimately closest aligns with that of empath. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.